Savage. What's going on, Savages? How we doing? Welcome to another episode of the Savage Snowflake podcast with me, Jeff Leach. Papa, your teacher, your diligent student, newfound lover of hiking. There's a lot of names that I could go by, but just Jeff will do. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode. First of all, apologies for being distant and devoid of content for the last couple of weeks. I've been in Vegas for the last week performing at Opium, a wonderful show at the Cosmopolitan. If you're in town, make sure and go check it out. It's a kind of like a vaudeville space circus extravaganza. Very much worth checking out. A lovely group of people, a wonderful cast, and that's where I've been for the last week. And then prior to that, I was in New York City doing Stand-Ups Anonymous. I don't know if you guys have finally checked out the Instagram page and all that. A kind of AA meets stand-up comedy experience. The 12 steps of laughter and are funny rather than 12 steps of stopping being a ridiculous fucking addict of alcohol or drugs. Anyway, I'm back now, and I'm sorry that I've been away for so long. First of all, thank you very much to those of you who are supporting on Patreon, patreon.com/Savage Snowflake if you want to donate something as little as $1 a month if you're enjoying the content. And thank you very much to our sponsors today. You saw that video at the top there. That is of a wonderful new video game called Big Drunk Satanic Massacre. It's a Russian indie developer. I played it on stream live last week. If you guys were around and you checked it out. If not, check me out on Mixer and on YouTube. That's where I predominantly do that. And it's a wonderful game. It's sort of a top-down, almost Pillars of Eternity meets Diablo, first-person shooter. It's pretty fucking epic, and it's worth checking out. Big Drunk Satanic Massacre. It's out right now on Steam. It's on Switch. It's on console as well. So make sure to check them out. I'm going to put all the links below here in the video, or if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, etc., make sure you check out the description for a link to that wonderful game. But thank you very much for sponsoring us. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is comedian, writer, actor, musical comedian, serious musician, director. You've pretty much done everything. We were just discussing how much of a Renaissance man you are. Joe DeRosa.
Hi.
How are you, brother?
Good. How are you, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. I mean, like, we haven't just talked for 20 minutes.
I know.
I know you're good.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. Well, you don't know. We didn't,
You sound good because you're leaving LA. That's always a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. But that was 20 minutes of superficial conversation. That's what the first 20 minutes of every meetup is.
Superficial.
So I'm not saying it was bad, but that was intro talk.
Dude, whatever.
We didn't get into
You can backtrack as much as you like, Joe. You basically just said that our wonderful first meeting and those 20 minutes of what I felt was, could have been the start of a beautiful friendship was superficial to you.
I think it is the start of a beautiful friendship. I'm saying we didn't have time to jump into the heavy shit yet. So that could be a disaster for all you know.
Oh, no, it's going to be great. You've been highly recommended by a few friends of mine anyway. I know you watch some of the videos. I mean, the majority of our listenership, we've got about 51,000 unique listeners now. So they listen predominantly rather than watch. But you checked out some of the episodes. But I've had a number of different people go, "Oh, you know Joe DeRosa, yeah? You know Joe DeRosa." And I'm like, no, I've never actually fucking met him.
No.
And upon reading your plethora of achievements over it feels like a sort of a 10-year period is when you really started to do some exceptional things in comedy.
Thanks,
and
man.
Creatively.
Thank you.
We have so much of an overlap of, I feel like, the things we love to do.
Yeah.
The achievements are both varied and similar, know, TV, film, directing, writing, music, etc., etc. And then on top of that, you seem to know everyone that I love in comedy and have worked with them.
Who are our mutuals?
Well, people that I respect and admire that you've done stuff with, like Bill Burr, Bobby Kelly, Bonnie McFarlane, Rich Voss. This is a list. If I had to talk about my favorite New York comics,
right,
or Bostonian comics, they would all be on that list.
No, they're four of the best out there, man. They're four of my closest friends.
Yeah, so, not bad company to keep.
No, they're good people, and they were very kind and nurturing to me they were mean and condescending when I first met them.
That's New York comedy, isn't it? Isn't that just New York comedy?
Yeah, but over the years we became good friends, and they've been very nurturing to me throughout my career, and very good friends. Bill and I have particularly done a lot of stuff together.
Well, you've written a book together. You've made a short film together. You've done musical projects together. You have a podcast on ATC, right? Or no musical projects?
No musical project, but we do have a podcast called Uninformed, and that was a serious radio show at one point. Bobby and I made the movie together, and we wrote the book Cheat together. And then, but Bill and I used to tour with Bill, and
You used to co-host You Know What Dude as well, didn't you?
that was with Bobby.
Yeah.
So, there's been a lot over the years of content with those guys. So.
I know. I like I feel like Bill Burr's friendship list is again a sign of people that I would like to know more or be around more. So like yourself, Josh Adam Myers, I know is very good friends with Bill, and he's a dear friend who I respect and admire here.
Me too.
Maureen Taryn, from True TL, what's it called, True TV.
Yeah. Dear friend.
Yeah, she's one of the best people in comedy.
She's one of the best people I've ever known.
Oh yeah,
she's truly got a good heart.
She loves comedy first.
Yeah.
So to find someone, the thing that I've respected about her, or what blows me, actually not even respect, let's just talk about what blows me away in the industry, is meeting a woman who is, a head of talent at a big network and actually goes to comedy clubs pretty much every night of the fucking week.
Yeah.
That's hard to find these days. Yeah?
I've known Maureen since I started, and she knew, she's known all those guys from the jump. Like, they were around a bit before I was. And, but she's been through just every aspect of. She truly embodies comedy.
She used to manage Bill, didn't she? At one point, I think they were very briefly. She was his manager, and then
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I know she did manage at one point. But I mean, I think Maureen worked at the Boston Comedy Club, which was a legendary New York comedy club that I am very grateful I got to spend a couple years in before it went away. But she's like she's like comedy. She's like walking comedy.
Yeah, yeah. She lives, breathes, and sleeps, eats, etc.
Yeah, and it's nice when you see somebody that's not on the talent side of the table that actually does treat their aspect of it like art, and they do care and they do love what it is they're doing. A lot of people on the suit side of things are. They don't really think about all that stuff too much.
What they normally do is they wait for you to come up with a great concept, something funny, some kind of new idea, whether it be a show or a premise or a format or a podcast or a musical thing, and they go, "Oh, that's funny, and that's working online or whatever, or in the clubs," and they take it and they fuck with it and they ruin it, and then they put it out there.
Yeah. That's working. Let's ruin it.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know. I'm trying. It's one of the reasons I'm moving to New York. I'm not shitting on anybody for staying in LA, and I'm not shitting on. When I say LA, I mean specifically the Hollywood, the abstract idea of Hollywood. I don't hate LA as a city.
Hashtag blessed. Hashtag doing it.
Yeah. And I'm talking about the industry of Hollywood, and it's just become less and less for me over the years. And it's not that I won't work within it, and it's not that I won't do anything to be a part of it. Like if the jobs come, then the jobs come, great. But my passion or interest, I should say, in seeking it out has really dwindled. Like for these reasons, like we live in an age where you can do so much stuff independently, or at least on smaller platforms that are delivering content directly to the fans that want that content, and even though Shudder is owned by AMC, for instance, the horror streaming service Shudder, it's a pretty fucking grassroots thing. And so something like that's delivering made for Shudder original content directly to horror fans that are paying $5 a month because that's what they want. It's like, why would you want to do, if you wanted to make a horror movie, for instance, why would you want to do it in any other way besides that? You know what I mean? Like, why would you fuck the Cineplex? If it works out that way, then great. But, why wouldn't you want it to just go right to the people who it's for? Yeah. So it's like Eddie Murphy says in that Dolomite movie when they go, you're going to make a movie for 5 square blocks of people. And he goes, those 5 square blocks exist in every city in the country. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I
think as time goes on, I'm not gonna remotely try and pretend like mainstream success isn't something that is of interest to me, and bringing, not necessarily mainstream, maybe that's the wrong way to say it, a larger platform, having a larger platform from which to spread comedy.
Right.
Or storytelling, not even comedy. I love serious acting as well. But the idea of being able to have a bigger audience, a bigger reach, of course, that's something I want.
Of course, yeah.
But the older I get, at the ripe old age of 35, the more I realize that I'd rather have 10,000 hardcore fans who love the shit I make than a million fans who like one movie I'm in and then never fucking think about me after that, you know?
Yeah, and we're saying the same exact thing, you know? It's funny, man. I'm learning about you because I knew you from a distance.
Yeah.
I knew I would see you on the monitors at the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
Because they have all those, the monitors from each room or play.
Oh, okay. So when you're in New York and you see me in Vegas,
I saw you in Vegas once, and then I saw you once performing at you were downstairs performing, and I saw you on the monitor. I was up at the table, and you came up briefly, and I was going to say hi, but you moved out quickly. I didn't get it. You were on the move.
I don't hang too much anymore around the table.
But anyway, I knew who you were I knew what you looked like.
Yeah.
And
then I cut my hair, and then you didn't know anymore.
Well, you did cut it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was long.
So this is what I'm getting at. My initial impression of you was very, like a Russell Brand type.
I get that a lot. Yeah, I used to get that a lot. That was one of the reasons for cutting the hair again, actually.
I think I like you better with the short hair.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, but but that was the impression I got of you, and I was like, oh, this is a sort of rock and roll-y guy from England, and
just say what you mean, Joey. Look at this irritating cunt in skinny jeans.
No. He's a bit heroin-y, I thought was a word that came.
A little heroin chic going on there. Yeah.
But now that I'm in your house, and that so in other words, the guy that I'm describing initially, the first impression guy, is the guy that wants the one movie that a million people see.
Sure.
Whatever. Now that I'm in your apartment and I'm looking around and you probably can't see it on the monitor, but I'm seeing your artwork, I'm seeing your toys, I'm seeing your video game stuff, your pillows with graphics.
Oh yeah, I'm a geek, yeah.
Now I'm going, this guy's a fucking nerd.
Dungeons and Dragons over there.
I'm
starting a new campaign.
Yeah, and that's
in about a week.
And I don't mean that as an insult, but I'm like, oh,
I'm a proud nerd, yeah.
You're not a Russell Brand guy. You're here's the thing, you're a true nerd. Yeah. This is not nerdiness is cool artwork. This is fucking nerdy artwork. So it made so much sense to me that you just said that, where you're like, I'd rather have the 10,000 people, because I'm like, no, that lines up with everything I'm seeing now.
I think that's also business acumen. I know that if I've been told this by a number of different people, but or over time, people have made prophetic statements or little one-liners, and I'm not talking about cheesy, inspirational, hashtag comments. The most successful actors, comedians, writers, directors I see, they find their niche,
right,
and work to be the best in that area. And then as a knock-on, if there's other opportunities that arise from that, great, they can do those. And if that gives them a bit more success in that area or this area, that's great. Right. But they really focus on who am I? And I think it's taken me 35 years, but in the last year, I've actually really started to embrace who I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and I think most people do that at that age.
Yeah.
I don't think most people know who they are at 22. I think, Dave Chappelle seems like a guy that had a good handle on it by 19 or 20. He's been pretty consistently Dave Chappelle the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think that's a real rare thing, It's I think people really look. It's one of the reasons I'm 42, so it's one of the reasons why I won't date, or at least I try not to date. And this is no offense to younger women, but it's just people in their 20s. It's I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And not because, oh, I'm so enlightened and I'm so this and I'm so that. Something happens to you when you cross that boundary of 30. 30 is that first kind of bell going off of
you tidy up your
apartment.
apartment.
I'm not a kid forever. I'm not a kid. You're 30's the official. I'm not a kid anymore.
I dated a girl in her 20s, and she just couldn't wash her fucking feet before she came to my apartment.
Yeah,
that was it. That was it, mate. Honestly, she was a yoga teacher. She danced at Jumbo's Clown Room, that fucking strip joint down there. And she'd come in, having walked around in sandals, doing yoga classes all day with people, and then dancing on that stage with fucking bare feet and being covered in shit. And she just walk around and leave dirty footprints. And I'm like,
that's
a 30-year-old woman doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But a 27-year-old woman does do that.
That's a heavy 3 years.
Yeah. And I was like, you gotta leave my house.
But here's the thing, dude, too. I'm weary of anybody who's going to say at 25, I've got it figured out.
Sure.
And there are people that do that. And there are people that will, in their 30s, then go, I thought I did, I was wrong. The ones that go, no, I wasn't wrong, are most of the time are cunts.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're cunts. It's like you're still a selfish, shallow baby. You're out for yourself. You don't care about anything except what your immediate satisfaction is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really care about the people around you. And I think I don't know. Most people, that's the goal, is to evolve through life and to grow.
There you go, and to never be a fully formed entity. You have to go, well, actually, whilst I might be, as I get older, become more progressively comfortable with elements of myself.
Yeah,
I know that I have failings within my personality that still need to be worked on.
Yeah,
I need to grow out of, and giving up the booze is one of those things.
Right.
Just going, I'm a better version of myself when I don't drink. So why would I keep doing that thing? Or
right. Were you an everyday drinker?
I was, yeah, and not a wake up. I mean, I've had those highs and lows. So there were periods where I did get up and open up the freezer and pull out the bottle of vodka, the handle of vodka, and fucking neck that. But then,
because you just got to get even. I know,
just to take the edge off. The fucking hangover. But I haven't been like that for quite a while. But it was more a case of just, it would be usual to come home, and it was a crutch because I wasn't ready yet to be strong in different ways. And that sounds very fucking LA and Ponzi. But, if I'm feeling depressed, which as someone who suffers from depression, I do quite a lot, that was the easiest way to escape those problems. Get shit-faced, sit here on my own, drink half a bottle or a bottle of whiskey, and fucking, and then pass out. And I go, well, at least for one night, I didn't really think about how depressed I was.
Yeah. No, I do drink, and I without a doubt use it as self-medication sometimes. Right. But my issue, I don't know if issue is the right word, but the thing for me with it is I like to be social. I like to go out.
Right.
That excites me, and drinking is a great way to go out. So
let me pose this as a question though.
Sure.
If you didn't drink in those same social situations where you like to go out, if you were sober, is the worry that you would realize the fun you think you're having on those nights out, actually, it's not that fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Doug Stanhope has a joke about that I think it's on the Beer Hall Putsch special. Okay. And he says, I feel sorry for all of you people that don't drink because you have to wait for fun to happen.
Yeah.
You have to wait for and hope for it. And he's like, I don't have that problem. He's like, and he talks about this person waiting all month and saving their money to go see a Billy Joel concert or something.
Sure.
And all the pressure on that. And that's my night to be fun. And then, and then what if it sucks and it all goes wrong, whatever. So
I half agree with that, and I half disagree, because I think what I'm suggesting is that you think you're having fun when you're a little shit-faced amongst other people who are shit-faced, but when you take off the sheen of drunkenness, if you're looking at it with a sober eye, you see that after 3-4 drinks, people start repeating themselves, being a bit fucking gregarious, miscommunications, a little drama, a little bit more stupid decisions, and I want to get high and be able to be crazy and as outgoing and as lunatic as I know that's inside of me sometimes, but doing it sober, which is the truly fearless way of doing that shit.
Yeah, well...
And that's hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't do it is because nobody else is doing it.
That's fair.
That's always fair. Been my argument with the if you read the Alan Carr stuff, about addiction and quitting, and
I've never read it. Well, Alan Carr, the comedian?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is a man who wrote it was called the something book of quitting or something or other. But he wrote a bunch of books about quitting addictions.
Yeah.
His most popular one was one about quitting smoking. And he eventually died of, I think, lung cancer because he had been a heavy smoker for so long, and that's why he ended up quitting and writing this book.
Great long-term punchline, like that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but he wrote, his thing with drinking was that whole thing, the big lie.
There you go, yeah.
It's not fun out there. It's, you look around, you're just sitting in a dark room, and, it's not amusing, it's not this. And it's like, well, that's easy to say when... With the assumption that everybody else will go on that journey with you. When nobody else... See, I'm a perpetual bachelor. So, when you're not doing that.
No longer dating in comedy, right?
I try not to.
Did that?
I have.
With some I
Many
read that.
times.
That's even in your Wikipedia.
It is?
Your relationship with Nikki Glaser.
Oh, is that in my Wikipedia?
It's in there, yeah. Well, I think because it says in the career, it's in your career part. Apparently, it's a career highlight.
Well, we did a...
You turned some of the experiences of your dating history into these kind of short comedy pieces for YouTube, right? For online.
There was a I think they were called Bottle Rock, something Rocket. I forget the name of the company, but they were a part of that second YouTube boom where everybody was going to create channels.
Yeah.
And I got to deal with them to do a comedic scripted dating show about a bad relationship, and it was supposed to be a series of first dates.
I'm in one.
Well, we weren't dating at the time.
Okay.
And we didn't. Nikki and I dated. It wasn't like we were for a year. It wasn't
okay.
like,
It wasn't madly in love.
no, it wasn't. But we did. It was very fun and but there were some crazy moments which we captured some of them. But but overall it was very fun and very good. But anyway, this series was supposed to be about a series of first dates.
Right, okay.
And I was going to base it all on bad first dates that I had. And then a very similar series came out by, and I'm blanking on his name, but he's a guy I know, and I see him all the time at UCB, and now I'm forgetting his name. But anyway, and his was very funny, and it kind of hit like as I was turning in the scripts for my show. So I said, all right, I'm going to change this to be about a relationship where it's these two people should not be together.
Right.
And I'll still use all these bad date scenarios, but it'll just be in this
About
one
us,
relationship.
yeah.
And Nikki was the first person I showed it to. And it was funny because we hadn't, it's an interesting story. We hadn't spoken for months. Not
post being together.
It was not even post being. It was post there was already post friendship from post dating from post. We had, and I don't think there was any reason. We just had kind of fallen out, and not talked.
Sometimes when you stop fucking each other, you just go, we don't need to hang out much anymore.
But there was a friendship period, though.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. There was like a long friendship period, and then we had significant, and then we hadn't talked. And I remember we had this. I ran into her somewhere. I don't remember where, and she took the first step and was just like, we're not, I haven't seen you, and we're not talking. There's some kind of weirdness in the air,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know what it is either. It was just one of those things. And then we were like, let's be friends again. This is stupid. And the first thing we did, she came over to my house one day. It was the first time we hung out. And I said, I'm working on this. What are you doing? I said, I'm working on this thing. And I showed her the script. And she's like, because she wanted to read one. There were 3 pages.
Yeah.
And she read it. And she's like, can I please do one of these? And I was like, well, better yet, do you just want to play the girlfriend? Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and I can say it's based on one of these is based on something that happened with us. And she thought that was funny.
This one where the woman's being a complete cunt. That's... You remember that? Do you remember that? And then you didn't speak again for another few months.
Yeah.
Until the paycheck
works out. Yeah. But we had fun doing that, man. That was really fun.
Well, I'm glad you could have that reconnection. It's very hard, especially once you've dated someone in your industry. I've only ever made that mistake a couple of times. Once it was catastrophic, and the woman went out of her way to try and ruin my career in the UK. I raised her child for a few years, and she told me I couldn't even see her kid or anything. She's a real fucking scumbag. She's still really thriving and succeeding in comedy. So good luck to her.
So but you're not going to say her name, right?
I don't mind. Yeah, Catherine Ryan. She's a Canadian comedian in the UK.
Catherine Ryan.
Yeah, she's got a Netflix special out and stuff, and she did that terrible show, The Fix, out here with Jimmy Carr that was a complete flop. So
Jimmy Carr's like talk show thing?
It was him and her were the hosts of this show, and it's called The Fix.
I know Jimmy. I never met Catherine.
Yeah.
A lot of the Canucks go to England.
Yeah, a lot of Canadians love going to the UK because they
Glenn
have...
Wool's a friend, and he's I met him. He was in England for like 10 years when I met him.
Dude, there's a handful of incredibly successful Canadian comics, so I think that draws a lot of Canadian comics to the UK anyway. Also, it's hard for Canadian comics, I think, to come to America and get the right paperwork, even more so now.
That's what Glenn told me.
Yeah, so they're like, well, I can go to England because it's fucking Commonwealth and I can get out there. And then on top of that, Brits are in the same way that a lot of American audiences are Anglophiles and love a British. They prefer it in acting. Comedy less so, but they love a British actor. They love a Benedict Cumberbatch because they all watch Downton Abbey and fucking Sherlock Holmes. But in the same way, Brits love an American accent, and they don't necessarily know the difference between an American and a Canadian accent.
Right.
So if you've got an American sounding accent and you have the kind sensibilities that Canadians have, which is very British, a little bit of, we're a bit polite and blah 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 blah. They do very well out there. But yeah, that relationship was horrendous. But then, similar to you and Nikki, I dated very briefly Jessie May Peluso.
Oh yeah,
who's a wonderful comedian
She's my
and a
friend,
wonderful person.
She's great.
And we did the same thing. Didn't speak for quite a while after we were no longer spending time together in that way. And then saw each other at a comedy show and I was like, hey, I really miss laughing with you. And she was like, yeah, me too. And now we're cool. It's great. So who knows? Maybe we'll write a thing one day.
Oh, you and Jessie. I think you meant you and me.
Yeah, well, we'd have to date first, Joe. And then have a breakup. Sex would be magnificent. I can already tell. I think we're both a little dirty. I don't know who would be the top and who would be the bottom. We'd both be power bottoms.
I was going to say, it'd be the first two bottom relationship. Yeah. Neither one wants to be the alpha.
Just pushing back, looking at each other like, yeah, no, you do it. No, you do it.
Just two lazy bottoms.
Yeah.
Just
gently rub up against each other as we sleep. It's kind of magical.
No, man, it's that's so
threw you a little bit with that imagery, didn't I? Just a little bit.
A little bit.
You ran it through your head, and you're like, "That sounds all right."
A little bit. It made me. It reminded me of how single I am. But
by the way, I'm going to talk to my girlfriend and see if it's cool if we just give it a once over, just a one try.
We went way around the block. What I was going to say, which sparked the Nikki thing, was I'm a perpetual bachelor, so it's like it's when I'm not out, I'm home. And I get lonely.
Okay, yeah.
And I have my video games and my records and my movies and all my dumb shit that I collect and love so much. But
human contact is an integral part of not going fucking mental.
Yeah, and when you're single and you live alone, it's kind of hard to get that contact without putting a little booze into the mix and going out and smoking a few ciggies and,
calling up an escort.
I try to, those days are behind me.
Have you ever done that, though?
Yeah, I did that before. I've done that before. I mean, years ago, and it wasn't frequent, but I have, dabbled in that area here and there.
You and every other comedian. I mean, you were on the Opie and Anthony show back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're friends with Jimmy Norton, who loves a little drive around. Just as long as there's a dick hiding under the skirt, he's all about it.
Yeah. There was a time, but all that stuff. Like you mentioned, dating a stripper earlier, and that stuff used to really intrigue and excite me.
Me too.
And then I was like, and nothing against strippers. I would date a stripper again, but I was like, but then you date one and you get to go behind the wall at Pirates of the Caribbean, and you're like, oh, this is just magic. This isn't real, and like all the illusion goes away. And it's like the first time you ever hook up with a porn star, and you have it so built up in your head, and then it's like anything else. You're like, oh, you're just a person. You have problems just like I do.
Sex with porn stars, I found I dated two, and the sex was always. Don't get me wrong, they had the capacity for adventurous sex,
right?
But they seem to generally, at least the two girls I dated, prefer much more vanilla. They didn't really like. There was no like dressing up in sexy outfits and being very provocative. They were more like, hey, as soon as I'm off set, I like to be in a comfy pair of tracksuit bottoms and a fucking big jumper that's got fucking stain on it from 3 years ago.
Well, when you come home from the club, you don't feel like being funny.
There you go.
Right?
Exactly. I come home and I take all the rings off, the Russell brand, although he doesn't even wear rings, but anyway, whatever. I take all the big metal rings off and the skinny jeans, and I like to get into these fucking track pants.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
And
so
then,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is talk about what happened who was at the Comedy Store tonight? Oh, fuck off. I don't
the same
wanna talk about
cunts who are always there waiting to be seen by the 50 open micers hanging out the front of it, desperate for attention.
That is, by the way, the fifth variation of the word cunt that you've used. It's had a different definition every single time. It's impressive.
You're an adorable cunt for saying so. That's six. That's six. There you go. This morning, that coffee place we just went to grab a coffee?
Very
I
good,
had
by the way.
breakfast. I'm going to pass on the feedback. Yelp review them.
I will, yeah. I will.
I went there for breakfast with my lady this morning, and we were sat in the garden outside just having a little bite to eat, and there was a couple here and 3 guys over here and another 2 people there, and there was someone just riding the horn on the fucking street, very LA, and it was and it went on for about 5 fucking minutes.
Right.
And at some point, it was a big pause and then another big horn, and I just went, oh, what a cunt. And everyone laughed, and one guy was like, that's the most perfect British accent. That's the most perfect. That is such a perfect fucking use of the word, mate. I love that. And then this other couple, the lady and the guy there, were like, she was like, yeah, no, I love it too. They were all British. Everyone was English, and we were all celebrating the fact that finally someone's used cunt in the right way, and no one was offended. And my girlfriend was laughing because she's dating a Brit, and she used to date another guy from the British from Britain. So it was like a wonderful moment. I love that word.
It's always been one of my favorite words. It's had a very different meaning over here, but
you can still get in trouble for saying it here, certainly on stage.
Yeah, I guess you. Yeah, I guess you can. I don't know if it still has the weight. My friend, when I first started in comedy, my friend Chip that I started with relished in that word, and he would say it's the last taboo. It's the final taboo. Is the word cunt.
Yeah.
And
you think that's gone now?
I think you can. I mean, I don't know. There was that wave of time where people were saying the C word.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that passed. It got a little bit silly. It's like, guys, this was not a word used to enslave people. It doesn't refer to a mental condition. It does, you know what I mean? Like,
comes from the Latin cunus.
Yeah.
That means vulva. So it's actually more of a feminist construct than vagina is.
Yeah.
Vagina means a sheath. Vagina in Latin means a sheath for a penis or a scabbard to go inside. So if you've got a vagina, you're empty without a cock inside of you. Whereas if you have a cunt, you're a perfectly fully formed entity on your own.
There you go. And I actually looked up the history of the word once myself. I didn't read that part.
Yeah.
But I read another interesting tidbit.
Norse.
It was a very commonly used term in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then it became uncouth or not classy to use monosyllabic words.
Yeah.
So it went by the wayside because it was a monosyllabic word, and it was a word that just was used less for that reason. And then because it was used less, it kind of got this taboo around.
So all we need to do is really reform it into cuntity pumpity.
Yeah.
And then people were like, well, now it's back on the menu.
Yeah, exactly.
Madame, you are acting like such a cuntity pumpity right now.
Yeah.
Thank you very so much.
Excuse me. Yeah. So
we were talking about audiences before we started.
Here's the Snowflake stuff now.
Well, yeah. I mean, is it Snowflake stuff? Like,
no, I was wondering when, because I was looking at the clock not to see what time it was, but I was like, I want time to get into the podcast stuff.
Well, here's the thing though, is that I don't. So I know that it's called Savage Snowflake, and the very early episodes, I used to be. I've just seen your Frank Zappa tattoo. Very good.
Thank you.
I know there's it used to be quite political, this podcast, when I first started. Then I realized I'm fucking tired. Like most people, certainly in America, are tired of politics and it being rammed down left, right. It's fanatics on both sides. But I am very deeply interested in what the role of comedy in modern day society is anymore, because a lot of the content that seems to be very popular, certainly across social media, to me seems incredibly shallow, two-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I'm always drawn to people who seem to be pushing the boundaries, but not being offensive for the sake of it. But I wonder if is there even an audience who gives a shit about that anymore?
Who gives a shit about people pushing boundaries?
Yeah, or we used to be orators who would say the things that people thought that they would be too terrified to publicly say. So we say, we're the jester. Let me say this ridiculous thing, but then let's hopefully have an intelligent subtext to that where I can explore the idea with you as an audience, and then hopefully there's some humor that comes out of that.
I mean, first things first, what we do is not important.
No. Is it?
No. It's entertainment, and entertainment in the idea of entertainment in and of itself is an important thing. Meaning, you need a relief or some relief, or you need to laugh, or you
therapy,
or a good cry, whatever the fuck it is. You want to be entertained. So in that sense, I guess any type of entertainment is important. But as far as the difference it can make, and all this fucking horseshit now about if you don't use your platform, all this Hannah Gatsby nonsense. And you know what? I was a big Hannah Gatsby defender, because I didn't care that she did a different type of thing.
Sure.
And I didn't care that some people considered it comedy. And I didn't care that other people didn't. I was just like, let her do her thing. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm always like, like I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I'm a prequels apologist, and I always say the same thing. What is wrong with there being more Star Wars? If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at Hannah Gatsby's special. If you don't like it, then don't watch it. It's not hurting anything.
Sure.
And I turned on my taste about her turned when she started saying things like, I'm paraphrasing, if you're not using your platform to make a message, then you're failing, and it's too important for me to keep working right now, and I can't step. And once she got into all that horse shit and started kind of telling other people how they had to do their comedy when she pitched, and her fans pitched a fucking fit when she was told how to do hers.
Sure.
That's when I was like, you know what? Fuck off, man.
It's hypocritical.
How dare you? She could be the loveliest person on earth. I have no idea, but it's not a personal attack. It's just that stance publicly about what it is we do, to me, is nonsensical. It's stupid.
Well, this is what's we are getting into the savage snowflake element.
Good.
This is what's lately is pushing me further and further towards a centrist view of society, not necessarily even politics. I've now become so deeply frustrated with my own political camp, which would be the more liberal-minded, left-wing, democratic, frame of mind, because we've always been, hey, we want everyone to be accepted and everyone to be fucking given a platform and everyone should be able to do their own thing, and that's okay as long as it's safe and it's not hurting anyone. Let's do that. But if you're a fucking Republican, how dare you racist cunt, blah blah. And I just don't think that is the right message. You have to be.
If you're gonna get mad at Bill Maher for his closed-minded stance on Muslim people, then you can also be the person that has a closed-minded stance against Republicans.
There you go. Yeah.
You don't get to do both.
Yeah.
Then that's the problem with everything.
Well, you do, but then we get to call you a cunt.
And then the defense to that is always, yeah, but I know what's right and what's wrong, and then you're back into that Gatsby territory again of like, I know what's good for you, and it's like, it's none of this fucking matters. None of it matters. It's stupid. It's stupid. All of this controversy about what can you say, what can't you say, what comedian is doing the right thing, what comedian is doing the wrong thing, what is too far, what is not too far, how do you define comedy? Is comedy changing? Is this too much these days? How have the times? All that bullshit, all of it is just a means for the fucking pigs in the media to continue cycling
clickbait,
a 24-hour news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody in the media is a pig, but I'm just speaking in generalities right now because I shouldn't do what I say to not do, which is to I'm not trying to generalize a group.
Generalizations about an entire group.
But I'm talking about
when we're talking about BuzzFeed, it does apply. Is that fair?
Fair enough. Yeah. So it's like I'm talking about the media outlets that do this exploit corporate media, corporate news, and so that's the one thing, and then the other thing is the distraction. It's a tool of distraction. It's a thing to keep people. It's divide and conquer. It keeps you arguing. It keeps you at each other's throats, so they can do what they need to do to keep the things running the way they need. George Carlin has a great bit. The rich. Here's the way the upper class works in this country. The upper 10% or whatever it is keep us below them all fighting amongst ourselves so that we're distracted enough so they can keep running off with all the fucking money. And that is true. That is what this is. And this is all
that's been going on since time immemorial. Right?
Yeah.
That's there's never from the first instance of organized governance, and that's why I have such a problem with theology as well. The organized religion, theology itself, I can see tenets of that work, but organized religion, organized governance, that's always been the case. How do I keep these people subservient? Right. Well, we get on with doing all our shady shit, and we keep them caught up with the drama or the fucking, whether it's a TV show where everyone's arguing or when I see people passing policies with this fucking Senate whilst going, hey, this fucking thing happened in the media, isn't that crazy? Fucking, it's like, oh, come on, how fucking blind are you people? You know?
Well, and I mean that's the thing too. It's you could apply what you just said to comedy. To me, comedy should be an abstract idea like theology.
Right.
There are some nice tenets in there. Spirituality is a nice idea.
Therapy of laughter and
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Once you start to take it into fundamentalist perspectives, then you're into that self-righteous horseshit thing again.
Yeah.
Where this is a sin, that's not a sin. This is moral, that's immoral. This is ethical, that is not ethical. And you can't, we all know what basic morals and ethics are, but when it comes to art and you start trying to define what that is, you can't do it. I've had people at my shows get offended because they love Trump. I've had people at my shows get offended because they love Hillary. I've had people at my shows get offended because they hate guns. I've had people at my shows get offended because they love guns.
Yeah, don't upset those ones.
It's,
because they got glove compartments as well.
Yeah.
And you don't want to walk across that fucking car park. I'm just saying. Yeah. Be nice to the NRA ones, just for your own self-preservation.
Right? Yeah. So, man, it's just like, everybody's got their line. So it's like, it always kills me when somebody says, well, if you make a joke about women or gay people or a racial joke or whatever the fuck it is, and they go, that's hurtful to people, and that crosses the boundaries of good taste, and also it's a dangerous way to speak. And here's the thing, okay, you don't think a Christian is going to try to apply that same logic to your jokes about abortion, for instance?
Absolutely.
They in their heads think you're murdering a baby.
Absolutely.
You don't think they think that that's wildly dangerous?
No.
So there shouldn't. It's all
wildly
okay.
necessary in my life.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? Let it live?
It's just crazy, isn't it? Thank God for flights of stairs. Am I right?
And by the way, if anybody wants to get upset with me, I'm personally a pro-choice person who is adopted. I should be pro-life because I could have been splatted into a can.
Yeah.
But I
thank God your mum didn't have your biological mother at least didn't have whatever the few $100 she needed.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God she was poor. Thank God for poverty. Am I right?
Yeah, she was such a dirty whore. She didn't have any money.
Do you know your biological parents?
No, I never looked.
Never looked into it. Have you done a 23andMe type thing? Have you tried to?
Yeah, I did a couple of them.
What have you got? What's going on?
Mostly Middle Eastern.
Oh, yeah?
20% African. 80% Middle Eastern.
20% African?
Yeah.
I got 0.2% Sudanese African.
Eastern and Northern.
Okay.
So, sort of the swarthy part, and then maybe a little, 10% Blackish.
Wow.
So, I should be on Blackish.
You should be on Blackish. Blackish-ish.
Yeah.
You could be on Mixed-ish.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah, I guess I actually could at this point.
That's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Watching a show get recycled just with a different title 3 times.
I'm waiting for Funny-ish.
Grown-ish, yeah. No, they've already got 3 of those. They've already made 3.
But, I'm just... and by the way, yet another one of my brilliant career turns, I chose to not exploit my ethnicity and... get all kinds of shit and get ahead because of it.
I know what I need to do if I want to be successful in this country in comedy, which is not be successful in comedy, let me rephrase that. If I want a TV show, is write the story of a British comic immigrant coming to America. That's the only way. Because look, if you're predominantly Middle Eastern and 20% African, but I guarantee as soon as you walk on stage, people go, straight white dude.
Oh, I get it all the time. And there's nothing more satisfying than when I get to say,
I love to suck cock.
Yeah, I love to suck cock, but not white cock because I'm Middle Eastern.
The blackest of cocks.
No, Middle Eastern. I stick with my own.
You're like Jesus black. You're like Jesus black.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, that's a very satisfying thing when I'll get it. I've been into many Twitter arguments where they'll say, coming from a straight white male, and I'll go, not a straight white male. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, so how do you feel now that you've been racist?
Yeah.
You know, and then they go, well, and this is what these fucking people
count,
do.
man,
Yeah. No, that's not racist. Give me a break. You know what I mean? No. Fuck you. Play by your own rules.
Based by your sensibilities, you are now profiling me and being racist.
And also, when I'm saying, racist, I'm not offended. I don't give a fuck if you call me a towelhead or a camel jock. Call me whatever the fuck. I don't give a fuck.
That's actually going to be the title of the episode.
Towelhead camel jockey, I don't give a fuck. That's a good title, actually.
I can see that definitely having monetization on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, it'll get hits, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't care about that stuff. I'm just, and that's my journey. If you do care about it, then that's fine for you. But, it's like, look, Andrew Yang didn't get mad at Shane Gillis. It's like some people just don't get that shaken up by this shit, even if it directly applies to them sometimes.
What do you think about that whole situation with Shane Gillis? I mean, I just
I
did a
love
show with
Shane.
him in New York a couple of weeks ago, and he seems to be doing all right. But I know it's draining on him. Like he's finding it a little draining. I think.
Yeah, I think it's. I can't imagine it wouldn't be, and I think I can't speak for Shane, but I think probably that my assumption would be that first week or two was after as it happened
the biggest job of your life.
Were the breezy 2 weeks because it's like, fuck it, that's when you can kind of do the whole like, I don't know if I wanted that anyway, and I didn't, that's the motions you usually go through. It's usually a month later when it starts to settle in. When I got booted from a CBS sitcom. Not for saying anything bad. They just cut the character. And it was 2 weeks before the first table read. So I watched 10 episodes of a multicam sitcom go out the window in 5 minutes. Money I was really looking forward to and counting on that I needed. And they dumped me in the cruelest way possible. They sent the showrunner and creator, who was one of my best friends, to my house to tell me. Nobody from CBS called me. They did it it was really shitty the way they did it. And anyway... But that's how I got cut out of a sitcom. And that day, I was talking to my manager, and you're in shock. She's like, you're taking this very well. And I was like, what are you going to do?
Hasn't settled in yet, yeah.
Yeah, it's a death. So, but then a month later, I'm this fucking town. God, fucking.
And now you really are an angry Middle Easterner.
Yeah. And then,
This bloody town is fucking dead. That's it. That's how you have to start.
That sounded like a man from the
driving
Bronx.
lift, just really fucking going for it. No turn signals, ever.
Yeah, none. I mean, it's. But anyway, the whole situation to speak to. I love Shane. It's unfortunate, man. I know the guy's not racist at all. I know he was doing like a funny caricature of what a racist guy would say, and he was parodying. He was doing a character. I
haven't even gone into it enough to listen to the contextual.
I know he wasn't being
outline of it, or
I knew he was being ridiculous. I know him well enough to know he was being ridiculous. He was being extreme.
Yeah,
and that's a thing you do a lot of the time, especially on podcasts.
Sure.
And all these fucking idiots that keep saying it's different on a podcast. No, it's not. It's different to some people on a podcast. It's different a little bit to me on a podcast because podcasts came out 15 years into my career.
Yeah.
They were a new thing I had to understand, just like morning radio or whatever else. You're talking about a kid where podcasts went hand in hand with his first open mic.
Yeah.
It is completely synonymous with comedy for this generation of comics.
Yeah.
Stop acting like it's so crazy that there isn't a group of people sitting in the room. And it's that different of a thing.
And also that over the course of a 1 hour piece of material, or half hour, whatever the format length is, that you can't have different shades of how much of it is you, how much of it is gross exaggeration for comedy purpose.
And the joke I keep referencing, it's not like I'm talking about this every day, but the joke at the time when I would argue the point with somebody who thought that he should have been fired, was I would always quote that joke from Anchorman. because they would go, well, there was no punchline in what he said. It was just absurd. And I go, yeah, sometimes that's the joke. There's the scene in Anchorman where they're walking and littering as they walk. And Ron Burgundy goes, why don't we lay off the new gal? And Champ goes, you sound like a gay. It's like, that's not a punchline.
Yeah.
That's just something an obnoxious asshole would say who's
and that's
homophobic.
Why it's funny to laugh at him and be like, oh, what an asshole. Yeah.
It's irony. And it's like, somewhere around 3 years ago, we turned on a dime from way too much irony, where people thought that's all you needed ever. There was no such thing as jokes anymore in movies. It was literally just irony. It was like, put on a mustache and a wig. That's enough. You know what I mean? And then it was literally overnight. Zero irony ever. Yeah. And by the way, in every joke in this scene that you make in this movie, if you could turn to camera and say, just kidding, and then go back into your character and do and then just keep telling them that you're kidding. They need to know it's a joke. It's just this is all part of this shit we were talking about. It's just one extreme to the next. It's a fucking distraction. It's a news cycle. That's all it is. It's stupid.
What do you think that means for comedy? What does that mean for the next, let's look at the next 5 years of comedy. What do you think we're going to see happen then?
I don't think it means anything.
No, you don't think it's going to go
be
further that way, and that
I think the squares will continue to be squares. These church moms are always going to be church moms. These soccer dads are always going to be soccer dads. It's never going to change. If you're somebody just like if you have it in your fucking wiring to find a way to become a Nazi, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever leads you to that point.
Wow, their fashion's really snappy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I'm killing Jews.
Yeah, that's like what kills me is like somebody will be like, it's like, dude, if a Nazi yoga studio opens across the street from here, it's like the people going into that are they're not walking by going, Nazi, I
mean, it would definitely be a Bikram one, right?
A what?
Bikram, hot yoga.
Oh, yeah. You think so?
I mean, Nazis were sort of known for hot rooms.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's a good joke. I really fucked. I'm sorry.
Right, that's okay.
That was a great bit. I'm sorry.
Right. Don't worry. Someone's going to cut that out of context at some point and be like, Nazi apologizer, Jeff Leach said.
See you getting escorted out of a Halloween party on Thursday. Yeah, see you. Get out of here. Did you see this?
That's my CBS sitcom out the window.
But, it's like if somebody walks by that on the street and wants to join, that's not a person walking by going, I thought I might give Nazism a try. They were headed in that way. Somebody who murders 9 times out of 10, it was happening, man.
Yeah.
It was going to happen one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with these people that whine and fucking complain about everything and get tight-ass. It's like, you're wired to write letters. If it wasn't Twitter right now, it would have been Facebook. If it wasn't Facebook, it would have been MySpace. If it wasn't MySpace, it would have been blogs. If it wasn't
newspaper articles,
it just keep going back,
and then it goes all the way back to people just whinging in the pub or in their local bar.
You're the mom that sits home, and the reason I say mom is because the people that did this the most in the '80s, which is really the period I'm referring to, were housewives, and they would get offended by something they saw on TV, or a rap record.
Well, the irony being, I don't think that's changed much today.
Really?
So they did a study of social media habits. I feel bad about not bringing up the exact reference or the exact study who it was conducted by, but some university looked into college looked into the hashtag habits on social media and reduced it back to who are most of these virtue signaling or ally or various social movement hashtags attributed to. And it was something like 76% was started by college educated, so, middle class to upper class, reasonably well off, privileged white women, young white women, from the age of 21 to 36, I think it was. And that's who it is. Well, I've just seen this morning. I had a chat. My girlfriend is Jamaican Puerto Rican and from the Bronx and worked very fucking hard to be successful. Right. And She wasn't like the poorest of the poor, but she grew up in the fucking hood and worked herself up and blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
I can't ever, not that I am having any interest anyway, because I'm madly in love with her, but I can't ever imagine myself dating a white woman in today's social climate anyway, because I feel very personally attacked more so by white college educated women. You're a white straight man. What do you fucking know? Or you're privileged, blah. Than I do people of color, my gay friends, women of any other ethnicity.
Just like how on average you could say a lot of white guys do this, right? And a lot of it, and there were negative things, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
You can now say that about white women too. You know,
well, my gripe would be the fact that of all the groups, don't get me wrong, I understand men have been dominant over women. I understand misogyny is real. The patriarchy is a real thing.
Totally, but when it turns into condescension against any man that fits a description to you, it's really gross, and that's what men did to women, and that it was gross when they did it
exactly.
too.
But what's frustrating is that the one group who has always, for the most part, been reasonably well protected by those dominant white men are wealthy white women. Like they weren't complaining when we went off to fucking war, you know. And like no one was going like, honey, I'm there with you. That wasn't happening. And when the fucking slave owners were, you know, treating human beings like fucking commodities, the mistress of the house wasn't going to the master of the house, we should really release these black folks, you know. Right. She, like, that's where my fucking annoyance comes. It happened this morning. I got up at 7:45 to go and move my girlfriend's car. She went to get a car, and I found a space on my street, which is very hard to park on, and I stood in the space, and I had to wait for 10 minutes because there was traffic, and she was trying to turn around. Fucking LA traffic in the morning. And this white girl pulled up in a fancy Range Rover Jeep thing, whatever, and she just looked at me, and she was like, give me like a hello, and I said, oh, sorry, my girlfriend's just getting a car, I'm just saying the thing. And she was like, and she went, what? And I was like, I'm saving the space, so that's why I'm studying. I'm just saving this space, sorry. And she was like, oh my God, and then zoomed up the fucking street and almost crashed into a car pulling out of a thing. And I was like, you privileged cunt.
I will say this.
Fuck you.
I'm on her side with that one. If I saw you saving a space, it would set me fucking sideways.
Are you serious?
If I was looking for a parking, because she might have been late for work or some shit. But back to what you were saying. This is the point I would like to. I hear you. You're making a very interesting.
You understand what I'm saying?
Of course,
that frustration of like that. Like, come on, you should give me everything. I'm like, yo, fuck, this doesn't happen anymore, bitch. This is not how it works.
I grew up. This is the way I look at it. It's not about. I mean, there are racial histories in this country, obviously, and there are painful ones in it. So it's hard to say it's not about white or black. But I realize that it is to some extent. But I also think, on large part, the way I try to boil it down is it's about privilege versus not privilege.
Right.
And it just so happens that in this country, the group that has experienced the most privilege are white people. So I can hang around plenty of white women and plenty of white men, but if they're privileged cunts, I don't want anything to do with them. You know what I mean?
Even irrespective of their skin color. Anyone who's privileged and acts like like the world should revolve around them.
Well, and the difference tends to be when somebody that is not white finds success in this country. Sometimes, depending on what their background is, they have less of a tendency to start acting like that because they understand a little more of a struggle that relates more closely to who they are, where they come from, and all that stuff. But like.
And also, they sort of know how quickly that can get snatched away from them, so they're a little more grateful for that success and that opportunity.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in a middle class suburb, and my family, I would say, was probably lower middle class. We were very paycheck to paycheck, a lot of debt. Excuse me, tight Christmases and all that bullshit.
Yeah. You're Middle Eastern, so you're like Aladdin running around stealing apples from
disgusting. People spitting at me. Yeah. Nobody knew I was Middle Eastern. I never told anybody. Yeah. I swear to God, that's true.
Really?
Yeah, I never.
This is the first time.
Right now, yeah.
This is it.
I didn't tell anybody till I was.
You're welcome, internet. You're welcome.
20 years old.
Really?
No, I'm sorry. 17.
What was your coming out?
I knew, but my mom was
full-on
worried about me.
Scarf.
Yeah, full-on terror. Yeah, I miss a lot.
Just fucking into school with a big backpack. See, there you go. That's the kind of joke that could get me clearly a fucking exaggeration. No, but you know what? This day and age, that's the kind of thing that people. But you're making it
to a Middle Eastern person who's not mad.
Okay.
So who cares?
So you've pardoned it.
Yeah, you're not sitting in a room alone saying dead-eyed into a monitor.
To the rest of
This is
David
how
Duke
every-
and his friends.
Yeah,
Hey guys, am I right? Those fucking ties, bros.
Yeah, you're not like saying it, like it's a fact.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, my point is I just short thing. I never told anybody because my mom was, we lived in a very sort of closed-minded area, and I love where I grew up, but it was very one thing. It was Irish, Italian, Irish, Roman, Polish, Catholic.
Right.
That was it. There were no Jewish people. There were no black people. There was no Asian, nothing.
Sure.
And so my mom was like, she was scared because she was so protective of me because I was adopted. She couldn't have kids. She already had this over, smothering thing.
Of course, yeah.
And then was like, don't tell anybody because I'm scared. And so I never told anybody until I was 17. But then when it was time, I taped candles to my chest, and
Nice.
like you said, whatever horrible racist thing you just said.
Thanks, Joe.
No, I'm kidding. But I don't know, man. I guess I know we got to go, but it's like
I know.
Privilege is privilege, and it's unfortunate right now that that privileged people are saying things. I mean, because here's the thing. Back to all these people we've been talking about this whole time. Every person who gets out there and starts talking self-righteously with the air of I'm telling you what's what. Mm-hmm. They're all their self-indulgence, their self-interest is so painfully obvious.
Sure.
And they're as inconsiderate of how other people feel or what other people have been through as the people they're complaining about are. Mm-hmm. And they're complaining about the right people a lot of the time. A lot of the time they'll say, this guy did this and it was fucked up. And it's like, you know what? That was fucked up. But now you're kind of going down this road where now you're saying, well, I'm now in
You're making this situation about you.
Yeah, I'm the vessel. And it's like, well, that's fucked up.
That's why virtue signaling has always been a little bit problematic for me. Mm-hmm. And, because it's never really about changing a situation.
Yeah.
And that's another reason to be frustrated with my own liberal left-wing camp, because I feel like people get upset and will retweet a hashtag for a week and then they move on to the next fucking popular thing and they never really see something through. They never make change.
And they don't care that they've shattered people's... I mean, fuck. Everybody just goes, oh, so he lost some money, big deal, or he lost a job, big deal, or now he can't appear at this thing, big deal. It's like... You have any idea the fucking emotional shattering this does to somebody?
Yeah, yep.
And I'm not saying that people don't do that in other ways to other people. I'm not saying that's not possible. But can we all take a breath for a second and stop acting like there are only one or two ways to give PTSD to somebody in this fucking country?
Sure.
There are a lot of ways to really damage somebody like that permanently. And it's like the people that are still going on about Louis, it's like, okay, I get it, guys. If you think it's unforgivable, fine. But it's like, what do you want this guy to do? Kill himself?
Yeah.
Like, is that...
Go and get a job at a Walmart? Is that where you see him?
I mean, let's go put him in the stockades in the middle of town. Let's put a scarlet letter on him. Remember when we all read that book and said that was fucked up?
Yeah.
It's just like, I just don't know where the line is with any of this anymore, So, anyway. There
Maybe
you
a
go.
public flogging.
Yeah.
With his penis out.
I was going to say, by a flogging, he jerks off on a group of people.
There you go. From a high building. Joe DeRosa, thanks so much, man. It was a real pleasure to meet you and to talk to you. I feel like we'll do another one of these because I think we just got in here. Yeah, well, next time you're back in town, good luck with the move to New York.
Thanks,
if people want to check you out, it's Joe DeRosa Comedy, right?
Joe DeRosa Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. Joe DeRosa Comedian on Facebook. And then...
And you've got
when does this come out?
have numerous specials. I'm going to put it out very soon. In fact, it might even go up this afternoon.
All right. So
tomorrow morning it'll go up.
I'll be at the Come and Take It Fest in Houston next week.
I love the title.
Yeah, it's great. At the Secret Group.
Louis headlining that, right?
Yeah, no, that's the Come and Look at It Fest. And that's in Houston next week. And then my new album. That's what I got to plug.
Yep.
I go to Atlanta all the time, which I had released exclusively to SiriusXM. I'm fine after a year and a half of it only playing there. I'm releasing it finally.
Awesome.
So it comes out in November on and you can pre-order it now iTunes and Amazon. But that's it. It's just pre-order purchase. It's not hitting it's not going to stream.
Yeah, buy it. support comedy.
Yeah.
Listen to this brilliant man make you laugh for an hour and a half or whatever it is, an hour.
Yeah.
And make sure you check him out, Joe DeRosa Comedy or Joe DeRosa Comedian on Facebook. Thank you, man. We'll have you back
Thanks,
on
buddy.
again. Let me play my little outro music. No, that's all right. You can get out. You can get out. You can do what you want. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.